So guys can hear me? You guys are awake? Yeah? Okay, good. So I had originally I was to go before lunch, and I didn't want to stand in between you and the lunch. So that I thought, let me, do it post. And if you're still awake, it's okay. If you're not, and you want to catch a nap, that's okay too, all right? So my session, I think the timer has already started, so I need to get started very quickly. So my session is about, the topic is making every office a corner office, okay? And a lot of talk this morning, I think Pari set the tone, and so I want to actually change the topic. I want to call it more a provocative look at how to make every corner office a corner office, rather than so if I hurt some feelings in the process, and I'm known to have what they call as a foot in the mouth disease, so I tend to say things and then get into trouble later. So please forgive me for that one. Okay. So let's go back a little bit in time and talk about a little bit about Broadridge, so you can understand my context. Broadridge is a $4 billion company. We are a fintech company. Primarily operate in two segments. One is what we call investor communication services. The other is what's called as securities processing services. More importantly, we have been in this space, the GIC space, for over 20 years. Personally, for me, this is my 37th year in the industry. So probably a lot of you are not even born at that point in time. Yeah? So I want to very quickly recap where the industry is. Okay? So the industry essentially was probably about maybe $500 million in 1990. And today it's about $161 billion. It had about 50,000 people then, and it's about 4.1 million today. Okay? And if there are two schools of thought whether actually the revenue per employee is increased or not. Personally, in my opinion, it is not. It was around 35 to 40,000 US dollars then per employee, and it's still the same. So something for us to reflect on, that is, have we become really productive in that time? Okay? The fact that we have grown probably 160 times in terms of revenue means that we have done something good. So what is that something good? So our growth has been driven primarily by cost, scale, and efficiency. And in the process, we have acquired a brand across the globe. And what is a brand? The brand is we're the world's back office. Okay? That's good and that's bad. Okay? In many ways, I kind of think of it as we are the world's back office's back office. So in many ways, we are the IT for the IT, or the ops for the ops. So we are the back office for the back office. I want you to reflect on that for a minute. The reason is we are probably one of the very few industries that has grown so significantly in the last 30 years without actually really having too much of connect with the end customer. Okay? Quite often we say, right, we need to be aligned to the customer. But I think we are one of those very few industries which have grown significantly without having that pleasure. But today there's an opportunity for us, primarily driven by the mindset change. The mindset change is today, every company claims to be an IT company. So when that happens, the back office needs to start to become the business or the front office. We've heard earlier speakers say that. So there's a huge opportunity for us in terms of being able to reinvent our operating model or reset our operating model. Okay? The good news is that there are no blueprints. We all need to pioneer that. This industry has not even gone through a full cycle. So it's for us to actually set that blueprint. I was just telling her that this remote is not digitally dexterous. Yeah, it's now become digitally dexterous, okay? So when we talk of reinventing the business model, okay, it's all about people. I really don't want to talk about the fact that initially it's about headcount and then module leadership, product leadership, I want to spend a little time on the people part of it. Okay? This is something based on my research. That is, I talked to 3 people and put this slide up. Okay? Based on this research, I've come up with this particular model. This model is about the typical life of an IT associate in this industry and how they get to the corner office. The green dots indicate, the peak. The amber kind of indicates, their growth, and the red indicates the fall. So this is, you could say, the life cycle of an associate. And if you can read some of the print there, it talks about the challenges and obstacles that the people face. Let me highlight a few. So let's say we hired somebody from the campus, okay? We call him the novice or the entry-level person. He joins your organization. You're teaching him right from how to sit, stand, etc., to code, okay? And then there are two things that can happen. Some of the people actually kind of drop out because they can't handle it. And some of the people, when they join the industry, they think, why should I work, man? I've got my first rank in my college and the MSET topper. Do I need to work now too? So they don't tend to make it, okay? As they grow up in the organization and they start to become valuable, and in the process put on 5-6 kilos of weight because of all the free food that we give, okay? In that process, one thing which I've seen quite often happens, which is essentially what they think is, a lot of them make more money than their parents have ever done in their lives, okay? So what happens is the parents think that God's gift to mankind, okay, which is good. But if the associate starts to think that he is God's gift to mankind, then that's a problem, okay? So people who have that syndrome tend to drop out. Then as they progress in their career, they start to become proficient, okay? At this point in time, there are 2-3 challenges. One is our famous, I want abroad opportunity, okay? Or I want to go on an H1. So I've seen quite often a choice between a great project here versus a crappy project onshore. Guess what do people take? Okay, the crappy project onshore. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is, as people make those choices, the value that they can derive for themselves and for the organization starts to diminish. As they grow further, people look at two things. One is, of course, on the home front, become a double EMI syndrome, house loan, car loan. Nowadays, kid student education loan. Okay. So we have a challenge with that, okay? And a lot of people start to view their career as a function of the number of people reporting to them and the designation, okay? So people cross that, and then people arrive at the peak of their, financial, technological prowess. At that point in time, I see two kinds of reactions. One is, some of them believe I've arrived in life, I don't need to do anything more, okay? Some of them still go ahead, okay, and they reach the corner office. So at this point in time, we look at the corner office in two ways, okay? Is it really a corner office? Can I make a difference? Or is it a glass ceiling, okay? So people who start to think about it as a glass ceiling start to get stable. Then they move down the other curve. The other curve is the red one. First is they become aristocratic. Your people tell you something, you say, I know better, okay? The next stage of the problem is, okay, I'm not the problem, you're the problem, okay? Then you become bureaucratic. You all know what CYA is. Cover your, I don't want to, okay? Okay, so, right? And finally, when, all that is not, you've done past all that, then you get into, I need to give back to society. I'll become a mentor. I'll invest in the company, okay? So this is typically, what the syndrome is. And I'm going to focus a little bit about how do you stay between the peak and the corner office, and how do you really want to think about it, okay? So to me, the corner office is not really a corner office. It's more an illusion, okay? It's more about us thinking that we are part of the corner office. We are the CEO, okay? We are the head of the department. We need to make a difference to this organization, to ourselves, okay? So it's not about the corner office. It's about thinking about a mindset of corner office. So if you think of the corner office, you have to think value. And this is my equation for value, okay? And value is driven by 2-3 things. One is expectation, accountability, and desire. So what is expectation? There's a saying that great expectations, provide you great capability. If you don't have great expectations, you don't have great capability. So simple example, and I may run out of time in my speech, so I'm giving you a heads up on this. When in 1988, when I was in Intergraph and we were in the US in Huntsville, Alabama, one of my colleagues had traveled first time to the US. He was in the cubicle next to me. He comes from Rajahmundry. And he was working on a project. And then the project manager said, okay, why don't you FTP that file? FTP that file. He did the FTP. A mail immediately came back. Outstanding job, marvelous job, all that happened. So this guy walked to my office and said, I just FTP'd that file. What's so outstanding about it? Okay, what's so marvelous about it? Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, if you think that that is the expectation and you start to live to that, okay, it's a problem. Okay. For example, these days, I hear that there are graduation ceremonies for kindergarten kids. Okay, right? I never seen a graduation ceremony in my life. Okay, and I come from a Tambaram family. You scored 98 marks. What happened to the remaining two? So expectations were always very, very high. Okay. So I think we are a victim of the expectations. And I believe that in this industry, we are a low expectation, high reward kind of an industry. And something for us to reflect on. So how can we change expectations? We can change expectations by 2, 3 things. One is taking on increased accountability / ownership. The second thing is you need to have the desire to do it. Okay? Unless you're driven by ambition / desire to have the accountability, you're not going to be able to set the expectation. Okay? This is a very simple kind of math for this. It's not working? Harder. Aha. So, I want to spend a little bit of time on this one. This is what I think is the new mindset. This is something that, offline I can give you consulting on each of these parameters, but in the interest of time, let's focus on a couple of things, okay, as what you can do. First is you need to move from scalable efficiency to scalable learning, okay? You need to be moving from plain metrics to business metrics. What I mean by that is, let's say you're meeting the business unit president of your organization, and you've got 30 minutes with him. You don't talk, my project is red, green, amber. Okay? You talk of what impact that you can do to his business. Okay? More importantly, I think 2 things. One is lead up. What is lead up? Okay? We all hate our bosses. Okay? Except for the guys in the Broadridge team here. They love their bosses. Okay? So we all hate our bosses. We think our bosses are the number 1 enemy. But I think it's not right. I think it's very important for us to have this concept of leading up. What is leading up? You should take calculated risks, okay, and give the boss the credit, okay? Once you give the boss the credit, he allows you to do more calculated risks, and the whole, it's a cycle of life, okay? And then you start to get bigger and better, okay? It's a technique, and it works very well, okay? There's no harm. Worry about the work. Don't worry about the credit, okay? Once you have the work, the credit will come, okay? What do you mean by circle of influence? Today, let's say you are, at a certain level of your organization, you need to see whether you can increase your circle of influence. Let's say you are, probably at a VP level, maybe can you talk to 2 levels above your organization, okay? Let's say you're in a certain department, can you talk across the departments? You need to measure your success and mindset in terms of the circle of influence that you can pick up. 2 things I really want to kind of say. That is shift in thinking. So what is the shift in thinking? There's a difference between an attacking army and an occupying army. In an attacking army, you need one general. The general makes the calls, and then you win territory. Okay? In many ways, as the Indian IT industry, we have occupied the territory. An occupying army, every point of presence needs to be the general. Because if something is happening at the local point, he cannot call back the general and say what needs to happen. Okay? So as organizations, we need to build this mindset that every person is the general, and we are in that kind of state. In order to do that, I think the biggest difference is as the world gets faster, whatever that is, and disrupted, the thinking needs to move from probability or statistics to calculus. Okay? Statistics is about making decisions based on probability, 70% right, 20% wrong, all that kind of stuff. Okay? Calculus is 0 or 1. Okay, you get to the answer. Okay, as a leader, the biggest differentiating quality that you're ever going to have is your ability to make a decision when there is no right decision. Okay, that's calculus. Okay, so take risk. Move your decision making from statistics to calculus. Most importantly, I think the desire to succeed must be greater than the fear of failure. Okay, let me give you a small example, and I read about this, and I don't know whether this is right or it's an urban legend. There's a guy called Nick Bollettieri. He runs a tennis academy, or he used to run a tennis academy in Florida. And it's one of the most world-famous tennis academies. If you were, it has produced the likes of, Jim Courier, Andre Agassi, Monica Seles have come through that academy. Okay, and people would join the academy when they're 12 years old. Okay, and then you get in there, and then you start to become a world-class player. So the way the selection process was, you used to go through the whole drill, and then you get to a certain stage, and the last thing there would be probably about 6 or 7 kids who would be left to play. Okay, and there would be a can of ball, and each kid is on a court, and he's given. Nick comes in and says, "Your job is to hit that ball, which is probably 200 yards away or 100 yards away." And he'd say, "I'll come back in an hour's time." So the kids would start to take the ball and start to hit against the ball. And Nick would come back an hour later. The problem was that each of the ball had a hole. Okay, there's no way that you could hit a tennis ball which has a hole more than a few feet. Okay, so where's the question of reaching 200 yards? So the kids that were still trying were the ones he would pick to his academy. So the desire to succeed needs to be greater than the fear of failure. Okay, that's something very important for us to kind of look at, because I think as we mature as an industry, as we wish to do things, our ability to have that will, ambition, desire to do it. I'm not saying it at any cost. That's not the point. The point is you need to be wanting to really, really want to make a difference. So again, road is tough. There are 2 rules. So there's a very nice, article, or there's a book. It's called "Be the Purple Cow." So what it essentially means is, as you, let's say you drive along and you see a meadow, or in India on the road, okay, you see a cow, okay, and do you notice it? Most likely no, unless you're a Westerner who have not seen a cow for the first time and they get out and take all the selfies with the cow, okay? But if you've seen it, you'll say there's a cow, okay? Would you notice it? No. But if the cow was purple, would you notice it? Absolutely, right? So the question is, how do you become the purple cow? The moral of the story there is, don't be a commodity, okay? Be remarkable. The phrase is remarkable. What is remarkable? Something worth being remarked about. That's what is remarkable. Okay? So my urgent plea and thing is, in order for us to make the difference in this industry, we need to be remarkable. And you need to be the purple cow. Obviously, 10 years from now, everybody is the purple cow. You have to become the regular cow. That's a different issue. But okay, for now, let's worry about being the purple cow. And finally, I just want to leave you with this one. We'll all be successful. All of us have been extremely successful by any measure. Compared to probably 99% of the society in India, I think we're extremely successful. The question is, will we leave a legacy? Okay? It's an old wise saying. Originally, I wanted to write it as Steve Jobs said it or something. Because in a tech conference, if you say Steve Jobs said it, you guys will buy it. Okay? Okay? So, but this is something I wish to leave you about. Each of you, I think, I request you, let's make the difference to the industry. There are probably 2,000, top minds in this room, okay? And together, actually, we can. Okay? Thank you very much.